When the hell is this thing going to start? Oh my God. Just go. Lay off me. I'm starving.
Lay off me.
There's the let me finish. Anyway. All right, let's do this thing.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Footballguys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
That's right. It is time to talk turkey and fantasy football. That's okay. Yeah, well, we do it every single year. It's our Audible Thanksgiving Day games preview show, and that means Buffalo and Detroit. Bloom, we're going to get to what we're thankful for at the end of this show. It's always one of my favorite shows. Also, I get to play our old ending from the 5-minute drill from years ago when I talk about all the stuff that I can't eat right now.
Alamode.
Or choose not to eat, because I can eat whatever I want. I just choose to eat certain things. By the way, so we're going to get to the thankful stuff in just a little bit. Obviously, that includes our audience and each other. But Bills and Detroit is up first, and Buffalo just gets to stay in Detroit. And hell, Bloom, they get to win at Detroit. Now with more James Cook, and I think as we've talked about on the Waiver Wire show, like, did it go from James Cook, because remember, week 1, it was like, they're going to do something, and then he kept fumbling the ball, and then, like, he's not going to do anything, and then they got Nyheim Hines, he's not going to do anything. I guess now he's going to do something. Now they might use Devin Singletary more. I'm not sure, but either way, I know it's going to be fun and exciting to watch Buffalo early on Turkey Day.
Yeah, and this interesting twist where they are already set up in Detroit. Wonderful area, wonderful city. Look forward to the next time I return there. And it's a good thing for us to get to see this team, Buffalo. Early in the year, we thought this team may look just cruise to a number 1 seed, set up the next step in the progression. Now they're a little battered and bruised, but in a way that toughened them up for what's to come. And we'll see in this game. And this isn't a gimme. Detroit's defense is coming along, so we're going to measure Detroit's defense and their progress, along with Buffalo's offense and their progress towards balance, right? We've been talking about this all year, Cecil. When the weather gets colder, you better have some balance. So Devin Singletary, still a solid flex play, maybe in running back 2 here, but the reason I have hesitation in my voice is because here comes James Cook and his explosiveness. So Nyheim Hines, that's probably not going to happen. It's going to have some depth. They gave up a 3rd-day pick for him. But it's James Cook that we're looking at as a what the heck flex this week. And also just seeing what kind of value he could have, because it's those fresh legs. It's the way that he can be used in the passing game. Also with Jeffrey Okudah, concussion, he's likely out. So that means Stephon Diggs, massive game. This is your Thanksgiving showdown slate or whatever they're doing for Thanksgiving DFS. Gabriel Davis and Dawson Knox, who had better days last week against Cleveland, because Cleveland was really focusing their attention on Stephon Diggs to his frustration. At least he still got a touchdown. You're still going to stick with Diggs and Knox. It is the Detroit defense, but maybe a better Detroit defense than we thought. Maybe a better Detroit offense than we thought with a full practice DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, full practice DeAndre Swift and Jamaal Williams scoring almost as many touchdowns as the entire Broncos offense.
18 points. He can get over 18. He had 18 points on his own last week.
Exactly. That's what Jamaal Williams does, and I want to give proper accreditation before I start just blathering on at the mouth, Bloom, as I know I'm known to do that, a propensity to do that. But, it was JJ. It was JJ Zacharyson. We're entering week 12, and Jamaal Williams has 1 fewer touchdown than the Denver Broncos offense this year. And I liked it, Bloom. I liked that a lot. Actually, I don't like it, but I thought it was interesting. So Jamaal Williams, yes. DeAndre Swift, yes. Khalif Raymond still is my sleeper of the week or whatever. We're not doing sleeper today. It's Thanksgiving, so
yeah.
Check out sleeper, all that kind of stuff. Sleeper. But like, okay, yeah, if I was Khalif Raymond, I guess every week. But no, we kind of know, and I'm excited for Jameson when he's ready.
Yeah.
Not yet, Bloom, but there's hope on the horizon.
Yeah, it's the long view. This is a Buffalo defense that isn't quite the shutdown unit they were earlier in the year, but you saw Detroit last week in a wind game have to deliberately matriculate the ball down the field with the running game, which was very good with Amon-Ra St. Brown. How will that measure up against a Buffalo team that had a really easy time of it stopping Nick Chubb in the running game last week. Actually, Jacoby Brissett was better as a passer. But the problem is, like you said, Khalif Raymond, maybe DJ Chark getting a few more snaps. I don't know that this is going to be an offense that can really threaten downfield. So that makes things easier for Buffalo's defense. I saw someone in the chat room asking, trust Buffalo's defense? Yeah, play Buffalo's defense because Buffalo can get out to a lead here and put Jared Goff in a position he doesn't want to be in. So Goff, not a preferred quarterback to streamer, super flex type this week. Jamaal Williams, you have to play just because you know he's going to get the call if they get close to the goal line. But you wouldn't be surprised if he posts a line like 14 for 41 and you hope for the touchdown. It's DeAndre Swift getting in those full practices that you hope at least. And this is one of those situations, Cecil, we get to that tension between usage stats and efficiency or explosiveness. So even if he's only in, because Jamaal Williams is only in on 50% of the snaps or less. So even if DeAndre Swift is only in on 50% of the snaps, if he can get touches on like half of those plays, which he should, right? When DeAndre Swift's on the field, he should be one of the first options. I would be comfortable playing him as a flex or as a running back too if I'm an underdog and I know I need high upside. And for Detroit, they've got something going now. They've really thumped a Giants team that we were starting to think might be a playoff team. We'll talk about them in a second. But the Lions won't be a playoff team. They do have 2 more first-round picks than the Denver Broncos. Oh, no, Denver has San Francisco's first-round pick, right? So they have 1 more first-round pick. But they'll both be earlier than Denver's first-round pick. So that's another way that you'd rather be a Detroit fan than a Denver fan right now.
Unless it was actually Denver's first-round pick, which will be number 5 or 4 or 3, something like that.
How low can you go?
Never do a deal with John Schneider. Anyway, it's the Broncos show, and it is now time for us to go and talk about Giants and Cowboys. There they are, Bloom. You said we'd talk about them. And we're talking about them on the Giants side. Through these trials and tribulations that is known as an NFL season, what do you do? How do you respond? How do you react? One of my main things, and for the next couple of teams we're going to talk about, is with the Giants and with the Vikings. Okay, we thought you were kind of good. So how do you react when you're not good? You know, good teams will respond. Good teams will rebound. There have been plenty of Super Bowl champions that have lost games that you thought there's no way in hell they should lose. And they just did. That's the nature of this league. So with the Giants, it's like, okay, what can Saquon Barkley do? Because clearly that's a key for this team. And if not, it's Matt Breida, and that doesn't give you as much confidence. And then, of course, without Wan'Dale Robinson, what's Darius Slayton going to do? And Daniel Jones, and of course, all the normal suspects we would go to when considering our Giants this week.
Cease, doesn't this feel like maybe a referendum on whether we take the Giants seriously from here on out? You know, how they measure up in this game? Because you look at their schedule.
The Vikings game is the same thing coming up next.
Right.
Yep.
Now the exception here, the difference is with the Giants, after this game, they have Washington, Philly, Washington, Minnesota, Indianapolis, and Philly. There are no gimmies at all. So it's possible this team won't win a game for the rest of the season. And this is one of their tougher games, and it's on short rests. But I think we're going to watch Daniel Jones. What can Daniel Jones do? The worse it is for the Giants, the better it is for him as a fantasy quarterback. So you just hope he doesn't get buried like Kirk Cousins did last week. But you would think he's going to have to wing it out there now without Wan'Dale Robinson. So Darius Slayton is the guy you're going to want to plug into your lineup. And then Lawrence Cager as a what-the-heck tight end play. And otherwise, he's going to be thrown to Kenny Golladay, Isaiah Hodgins, Richie James. Good luck, Daniel Jones. Good luck. Then Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley can be a factor in this game as long as it's a close game. We're not seeing a lot of Saquon Barkley as a receiver in this offense, which you would think with the paucity of receiving options they have that he would be more prominent. And the other thing is 15 for 22 last week, 15 carries for 22 yards. Is he wearing down? You gave him 35 carries, career high. The next week, he didn't do much against Detroit. So we're going to be watching this both for Matt Breida and his value as a potential starter if Barkley breaks down, and also just what do we have in Barkley? Barkley looked like, again, Cecil, we would have checked in week 4, week 6, one of the best picks of your fantasy draft, right? Maybe he's going to win your league.
Baby.
Windows. Yeah, the window is closing. The window is opening for Dallas's defense on Thanksgiving, and for this offense that finally figured out that Tony Pollard, he's pretty good as a receiver.
Yeah, thank you for that, finally. And I want you to one, be good to your family on Thanksgiving. We don't know how many of these we get, so everyone have fun. Argue about what you need to argue about, but keep it civil, please, and understand the common ground. But I do want you to maybe upset some of your family members by saying check whoop ass, check whoop ass, because the Cowboys defense, it has no plan, it has no scheme, it is specifically attack mode. So X foils, put your foils in attack position. Like, there you go. Gold leader, right? I'm trying to get my Star Wars references correct because nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, Bloom. So okay, Cowboys, their foils are in attack position to be sure, which I guess we're watching everyone not named CD Lamb. We're hoping for more from Pollard. We'll see the status of Zeke, and you already kind of know what to expect from him anyway. Low end RB2 if he plays, touchdown dependent, whatever. But for me, it's like, okay, where are these other targets for people not named CD Lamb? And could that one day be Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, I had Odell in my notes, Cease. You always do a good job anticipating where we're going to go with this stuff.
I think we've done this for long enough. I'm sorry we share part of a brain. I apologize to you because I get the better end of the deal on that. You're like, why am I thinking about, Sorry
Joe Plus.
Right. Sorry Joe Plus. Yes, I'll save it. It's a lot of stuff I think about that would go on Sorry Joe Plus.
No, this is Dallas game. What a moment for Dallas. Talk about riding high. And Dak Prescott, he still doesn't have that weak winning ceiling for you, but he's a really solid play. And the Giants are reeling right now. So again, two teams going in very opposite directions. In some ways, it might be better for the Giants to not have a lot of time to dwell on it, and really for Dallas not have a lot of time to dwell on it and get high on how easy it was to beat a team that was 8-1. You got the Tony Pollard Ezekiel Elliott split. We saw they can both be hits. It isn't always going to be 40-3, but Zeke's going to get those short yardage touchdowns. Pollard, more creative usage. Maybe don't put that back in the bottle. Like you said, CD Lamb, you're going to play Dalton Schultz. It's tight end. You're going to play him. Watch, Michael Gallup. And I think when you watch Michael Gallup on Thanksgiving, think to yourself, can a 70 or 80% Odell Beckham, because again, he's 9 months removed from surgery, is that better than what Michael Gallup, who's not that much longer removed from ACL surgery, remember, like a couple of months? Is Beckham going to be better? Could Beckham have some fantasy value in this offense? So yeah, everything is coming together on this very traditional Dallas Cowboys day. And again, this is a game that we may see them come out of this one, Cease, maybe not as the NFC East favorite, but when you look at their team, like you said, their defense puts you on your heels. Their offense has too many weapons and modes now with Dak Prescott back to deal with. The only problem is Mike McCarthy.
McCarthy. And the third game, I don't know. I want to say it bastardizes the day, but it's like, okay, the third game has been sometimes a boon and sometimes a boo, like a boo. Like,
right.
No. Why do we, And honestly, and obviously we're football guys, but I'm like, okay, we had the rhythm with the 2. And then they bring on, how about the 3? And like, okay, like, when you introduce things to your family, like, I'm really into football. Let's watch it all day. Like, okay, maybe some of your family's not ready. Maybe they want to watch a Hallmark Christmas, which, could be on the agenda. But either way, if not, then you have the late night agenda. That's right. Not even on Sorry Joe Plus. Patriots and Vikings is up next. And the Patriots side of things is like, will they ever learn? Will they learn that Mac Jones is not the quarterback they should be starting? It's not the Bailey Zappies any sort of answer either, okay? Or will they still be stubborn? Plus, I'm thinking of Belichick on Thanksgiving. I'm thinking of him not slapping hands with those little kids, right? And that was a Lions game. Wasn't that Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
He's walking out of the tunnel, his hoodie on, and kids are like, reaching out, and he's just like, deny, But I'm thinking about how Belichick approaches this from the Vikings just got their ass kicked. How do you, complete the process? How do you keep that up? I don't know if New England necessarily has the horses to do that, but if they did, it'd come in the form of lots of Ramondre Stevenson. And that's what we got this week, Bloom.
Yeah. New England has no margin of error, right? This is the AFC where 10-7 might not be good enough to make the playoffs, and they did get in. That's in New England style with basically a walk-off punt return touchdown. But as you said, Mac Jones limits this offense. Now, on the other side of this, as we said, Kevin O'Connell, this is a fascinating task, right? Cecil, you know, your final exams. Remember Last Chance Cowboy College? To get into those exams. Here's your exam. Your team just lost 40-3 at home. You are 8-2, but you have the only team ever to be 8-2 with a negative point differential. How do you motivate your team to turn around and play a Bill Belichick team that you know is going to have the foreign object in the trunks, right? They're going to make life hard on you, and this is a crucial point in the season for both of these teams. Now, New England's on offense, it's going to be conservative, and that means a lot of Jacoby Myers in a PPR league. You can still count on him. Ramondre Stevenson in a PPR league, you still can count on him, but also a lot of Damian Harris. Damian Harris looked good last week. Damian Harris looked like a better runner than Ramondre Stevenson, a more disciplined runner, a runner who understood how to turn his momentum into power. Stevenson is sometimes a little bit nimble for a power back, but he's got that burst that Harris doesn't have. I think they're both, well, Harris is more of a what the heck flex in PPR leagues. Stevenson's more of a running back too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Harris is the better fantasy play. If you do need to dig deep for a tight end, I'd say it's Jonnu Smith, who's doing more with his targets than Hunter Henry, although Henry might be a little more likely to score a touchdown or have a big play here. The answer might be nobody. Offensive line's banged up. David Andrews, the key to that line, he's probably out for the year, maybe out for the year. Isaiah Wynn is banged up. Trent Brown. What's going on with Trent Brown? Bill Belichick's barely even answering questions about him. Bill Belichick's barely acknowledging that he's on the team. Okay. Right. So that's not great going against a Minnesota team. But Kevin O'Connell, can Kevin O'Connell get you angry? Can Kevin O'Connell get you teed off? I don't know. Kevin O'Connell seems more like a calming influence than one that's going to light the fire this team needs to beat the Patriots on Thanksgiving.
Well, personality to their head coach or their quarterback. Well, their quarterback's Kirk Cousins.
Right.
And there's a lot to be said there. And their coach is that nice guy. And can he outcoach Belichick? You know, I like Kevin O'Connell a lot. Didn't we talk to him at the Shrine game? Right. Yeah. I like Kevin O'Connell. He's not going to outcoach Belichick, even if it's Belichick with not very many tools to work with. Now the Vikings have a ton of tools to work with. I can't speak English, Bloom, so take over because
they have a tool at quarterback. No, don't go there.
Oh, they have a tool bag. All right, they have a tool belt. Huh?
Toolbox.
Batman. Yeah, tool box. There's a lot of tools that you could use. Maybe Kevin O'Connell will use them right this week.
Yeah. Again, it's a good test for this team. And I think that we look at this offense, and always when a team is facing the Patriots seats, what do we ask? Who's Bill Belichick going to take away? Now, you might think Justin Jefferson. I mean, certainly that's the easy answer, right?
Honestly, I think it's Dalvin Cook.
I think it's Dalvin Cook, too. I think Bill Belichick understands that Cook. Now, I'm not saying to bench Cook, okay?
And Belichick's seen this offense. He's seen these players. He's seen this system.
He wanted to install, well, they don't have quite the same system they had, but he wanted to install some of this Shanahan running game, play action kind of stuff. Didn't work out. So, I mean, you're going to still play Dalvin Cook, and you're still going to play Justin Jefferson. Remember, he's got that mild turf toe, turning around and playing a couple days later. At least he gets some extra rest. I think, though, you're looking maybe further down the offense, like Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson is definitely a player that could hit in terms of a 8 for 70 kind of game. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game. I do think, like a typical Patriots game, it can come down to a special teams play. It can come down to a mistake, a turnover. It can come down to field position. It can come down to the kicking game. So I think this is a game, again, for both of these teams that they have questions to answer, and it will be an intriguing game, but maybe not a fantasy friendly game. And again, I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to here is seeing how Kevin O'Connell has this team prepared after they were humiliated, embarrassed, disemboweled. You know, they were tarred and feathered against a Cowboys team that is, again, going to be feeling it. So it's great that we have these stories that we just saw then on Sunday. We get to see the continuation of it and the continuation of football on Thanksgiving. And I'll hand it back to you on this, Cease. Because I'm glad you mentioned this. Right? It's Thanksgiving. I mean, what are the most American holidays, right? The 4th of July, Super Bowl Sunday. I think Super Bowl Sunday is absolutely an American holiday.
1000%.
And of course, Thanksgiving. Ooh, we could get into a lot of interesting conversations here about Thanksgiving. There's some. I think there was a Smithsonian article written about the first Thanksgiving that really gets into the actual history of it and some of the different strategic underpinnings between how some of the tribes were at war with each other or had tension or hostilities with each other, and then strategically geopolitics, right? How that fit into the first Thanksgiving and some of the different choices and things that were made. But it's an American holiday when we bring it back to the present, because it's about gluttony, right? And football and family. And I'm glad you mentioned this idea that there's a third game. We have to have a third game now. Well, and I think there's maybe going to be a Black Friday game soon enough. Amazon wants to do that, right? It's okay. It's okay to turn the TV off, right? It's okay.
It'll be there. You got Game Pass, baby.
It's okay to say it's time to spend time. And it doesn't have to be family, because our family is based on our connections to people, not necessarily our blood connections to people. The role we play in each other's lives, unconditional love, right? This idea that I'm going to be there for you. If you need me, you know I'm going to be there for you. And I think that this is a good time to think about those things and appreciate those things and maybe break. And I think a lot of the people that listen to our show, a lot of people we're talking to right now, Cecil, already have broken that cycle of like, well, dad's going to be in front of the TV all day on Thanksgiving. Just give him his plate, put it in his lap, And I think that it's okay to say football is there for us in the background on Thanksgiving, but it's in the background and it's people in the foreground. Right. And that's where, as we do our Thanksgiving address, our Thanksgiving notes, and it's the people in the chat room, and it's you, Cecil. And I know people are, if you're watching YouTube, you get all kinds of hidden content, right? Why is Cecil's background different? It's because family's home. And of course we move where the show was set up when family is around, because that's what is important to us. And also the vibes and the family we have here. And I'm glad that we can talk to people and have the handshake of football and our mutual love of football and love of talking about it, thinking about it, trying to test our acumen and predicting things. But also we use that handshake to get back to what our values are underneath that. It's people. It's always people.
It's always people. And don't ever forget it. Don't forget the people in your life that mean the most to you. And like you said, with family means, shirt off your back type of, like, I'm there for you. And the outside world, as I often tell the kids, not that I tell them as much because they're all grown, except for Avery, but like, hey, outside those walls, that's a lot of bad stuff out there. You get home, this is where you're safe. This is where, we come together. We're all for one and one for all. And this is who we are. And this is who we have. And I feel that way with all of our guys and ladies and gentlemen in the chat room. It's like the fact that we've created this space and you all have created it with us, because we're egotistical enough, Bloom, like we would do this show if nobody watched.
Yeah.
The fact that people watch and we get to interact with them via the chat room and via just whatever, like our conversations, like it's absolutely amazing. It's fun. So a big thank you to all of you out there. And it's always good to remember these things and reset these things and get back at it. I mean, we're all busy, right, Bloom? We're all busy. We're all so busy. That's true. That is very true. But you're never too busy to say I love you. You're never too busy to take the time that's necessary just to reach out to someone. I'm a big believer in, if I'm thinking about it, with my kids specifically, like, I'm going to text you.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 2 a.m. I don't care if I've texted you 10 times that day, like, because you don't have to read it as soon as you get it. And hopefully your phone's on do not disturb if you're like in class or whatever, like Katarina, but like, make sure that, just let people know what you think of them all the time and don't ever stop that notion. And when you're home with family, those people that are the most important to you, know also that you will have disagreements. You're not going to see eye to eye on everything, but you're going to have those core values. We're all much more alike than we are different. And I encourage those type of conversations, especially amongst family, because that's how we learn and that's how we grow. That's how we understand each other better. And in this world, Bloom, don't we all need a little bit more understanding? So yeah, go out and, talk to those people you may not agree with politically, whatever, at the family dinner. Like, yeah, go talk to them. Remain civil and know that y'all, are much more similar. You're there for a reason. And tell people you love them. Like, it's Thanksgiving, man. Let's have a better world, Bloom. And I think that better world starts with just remembering our humanity and going back to it and going back to, being good people and having shared values, shared ideas, and understanding that that's, where we all can come back to the table. We have a table. It's called the community table. It's called the world table, Bloom. But there's a table that we all sit at. And rather than being the people like, I'm taking my lunch tray and going home, I'm going to go sit over here. No, I'm going to talk with everybody. Let's talk about it and let's be about it. And then let's go forth and be better people. That's my spiel today.
You got a mixtape. While I was listening to you talk, Cease, a mixtape was coming together in my head, right? What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? And then I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Okay, a few things to say today, as you all are so indulgent to us. And again, and I say this a lot, but I say it a lot because I always think of it while we're doing this show. We're so lucky, we're so fortunate that as part of our bargain with the world to exist, we get to do something that gives us what we want anyway, which is attention and approval. And you all thank us for that. No, thank you. Because I know a lot of you listening to this show right now don't have as easy of a bargain with the world. And maybe it can even be tenuous, and it can take from you and make you feel a little weaker, the scratches and claws. And you're doing something much more essential to the fabric of society than what we're doing. What we're doing is very much self-gratification. So thank you, folks, because like Cecil said, we would do this show anyway, but it makes us able to have more to give to everyone in our lives and ourselves, that you give us this opportunity by supporting and enjoying what we do. And maybe what you have to do every day isn't something you look forward to the way we do, but you're part of the reason we look forward to it. But you mentioned about the people and the disagreement, and I don't have any answers, but I do think that in our country right now, like you said, Cease, we do have many more shared values and places that we can meet and say, okay, let's start here and build from this, and we can make a consensus. And I think what it comes back to is that this country is this incredible contradiction and paradox, in that it is one of the truly grand experiments in the history of humanity. And because of that, it includes so much of our history that I think still needs to be taught. And there are definitely people who don't want it to be taught, about how we ended up at this place and how those events still ripple through our days and are things that we need to acknowledge and create a plan to remediate. But also, this is a country that can allow people every day to be reborn and have a new beginning. Wherever you came from, whatever you were, you can write a new story. And that includes the people that were born here. That includes every single one of us. I think
and
that's why.
I will tell you, Bloom, not to interrupt, because I love when you do this, but I will say one of the most impactful things in my life was reading my great-grandmother Juanita's Spanish Bible and reading about why my family chose to come here from Mexico, why they lost life coming here from Mexico, losing their son, like on their way from Mexico to America, and what it meant to come here. And my great-grandma Juanita was never a citizen. She didn't speak English. My grandma Nellie was not a citizen. She spoke English, but not real well. But my grandpa Paul like who I'm named after. I'm named after both my grandfathers, Cecil and Paul. Like him, again, remember, losing your child to come here, leaving Mexico, El Capital, by the way, my family's from Mexico City, but leaving everything you've known to come to America, reading those stories in Spanish, written in that Spanish Bible, like in the sides of the pages and on the pages that were blank, like, and having these family photos and pictures and stories of like why you came here. And again, it doesn't mean that we're totally perfect. We're working on it. But damn it, you can come here and work on it. And reading those stories in Spanish from great grandma Juanita and why it was so important for my grandpa Paul to become an American citizen. I mean, just it's really impacted my life reading those stories. And I never read them until after my mother's passing, and I was the one who got that Bible.
Yeah. We're a dream our ancestors had.
Mm-hmm.
We're living that dream, living the dream, right? Well, we are living in a fantasy. And I think that we have the ability to create something new and different. And it goes down to the personal micro level every day. And again, that's the man in the mirror, right? And I just think that we are just at a point in the cycle now where, because everyone's life is getting harder, we want to find someone to blame. It's natural. And I think that at the same time, there's such an incredible amount, that term human resources, it's been kind of bastardized in the work world. We're all human resources. And there's so much pent up gifts and light and that people have to share, that because of any number of things that we have to be doing, that gets kept under wraps, with the lights out. But I think that while we're talking about football and your fantasy football teams and all this other stuff, this makes us light up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully what we do helps you light up a little bit. And that light it ripples, and you can change the world. We all have magic inside of us. And that's the real thing to be thankful for. I was thinking about this today, Steve. I think about it for days, like our Thanksgiving episode. And I always come back to Joe posted something in Basecamp. And by the way, folks, the stuff that Joe posted in Basecamp for us is exactly what you think Joe would post in Basecamp for us, because he's Joe, because he's the mayor of Footballguys. And I think it had to do with Jonah Hill and the new documentary about his therapist, Dr. Stutz. There was a Dr. Stutz in our family that accompanied my grandmother everywhere for like 40 years. That's another story. Anyway, that gratitude is the light. Gratitude is the disinfectant that stops the chain of negative thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. And the easiest thing to have gratitude for is just getting to be the consciousness, the soul that you are, getting to be in a human being in this time and place. It's like you're at Disney World and you don't even realize it, because we're so preoccupied with everything we have to do.
Consume.
And comparing ourselves to each other and all this other stuff. While meanwhile, the greatest gift is in our grasp the whole time, which is just getting to be in this form and have this freedom to make what we want out of it. And I every day I try to at least pause and think about that and experience some sensation and just be mindful and present in that sensation. But again, it's only because you folks give us the ability to do this that I have the freedom and bandwidth to do that. So I'm thankful for everybody out there. Certainly thankful for all the people in our life. I'm thankful for the events that drew us to each other, Cecil. And this created this thing and everything that's come downstream from it. But I'll stop talking because I could probably talk for a long time. I just think that gratitude is its own reward, however and wherever you can find it, however and wherever you can encourage others to practice it. And I hope that more than any football or gluttony, turkey gumbo, learn it, live it, love it. I think that is still the reason for the holiday season.
And be careful with those deep fried turkeys. I've seen too many of those videos.
Explosions. It's the ice crystals. You got to know what you're doing, folks. Yeah. No.
But I like what K1 says, and I love the I love our chat room because it's so many different people.
What's our people? Yeah.
From all walks of life. And I think, Bloom, my final thing on it is like there's a certain vibration for everything. Everything's energy.
Yeah.
And when you pick up on that vibe and you find that vibe, like find that light.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. And as
Yeah.
we enjoy you. So K1, who is one of our dudes, and all of you are all of our dudes.
Yeah.
And dudettes. K1 says you should be digging it while it's happening.
That's right. That's right.
Drink
That's one of my all-time. It has one of the best steel guitar solos. There are certain instruments that could strum your soul. You can feel it resonate.
Yes.
And the steel guitar is absolutely one of those instruments. It was one of the best steel guitar solos I can remember. But yeah, the way the song goes, you can be scared when it gets too real, but you should be digging it while it's happening because it just might be a one-shot deal. And yeah, absolutely. This is a great platform we have that y'all create. And it's just a joy. It's a joy to get to experience life and take your elbow and bump the person next to you. Like, did you just see that? That was pretty cool, right? I'm reminded of my late friend Jim Ashwanden, who passed away. Oh man, like 23 years ago now. He was one of our fish buddies. He had already beaten leukemia, and then he got brain cancer. And I, in my typical way, I'm always thinking way too much about everything. And he'd already survived leukemia. And he said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope I have a good seat to watch it all. And y'all give us the best seat. And I hope that we can continue to bring something into your lives outside of football, outside of the Audible, outside of Footballguys. That light, like Cecil said, find that golden thread. It's never too late. And every day a new story is starting, and you never know where it's going to lead. It might lead to becoming fantasy football podcasters or some other thing no one's thought of yet.
He is Sigmund. I am Cecil. Be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned and stay frosty.